Pentagon said today that Marines are going to be deployed, as Pete Hegseth had previously forecast or previewed. Marines are deploying to Los Angeles. Moose comes in the wake. Da, da, da. Again, it different than sending active duty is different than sending reserves. But let's see what they do. My guess is their job's going to be to deter, set up infrastructure and man it and deter it. Matt, is it okay to say man, or is that too gender specific? And I should say person it. Can I say man it?
To person, yeah, or
Yeah,
human,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Anyway, that's
We have a
that.
problem with men, so you can say man from our side of the party.
Okay. Number two, as a New York Times headline, as I said, the protests um, have spread to other cities around the country, as people are upset about this. So one thing, Dan, I'll start with you on this. One thing that I hear from civilians all the time is well, not one thing. I hear a lot from civilians that presupposes more command and control than exists in either party. That they could somehow, have a conference call and tell everybody to, student body left if they were going student body right. It does seem, not everybody agrees with us, but it does seem. Well, I heard from not an insignificant number of Democrats today who said, "Mark, how dare you say that these riots are worse than January 6th?" And I checked the record. I never said that.
Yeah.
But this is a product of the Trump derangement syndrome. I've been very, I think, careful in my language. But if the consensus of us, and all of us agree on this, I don't even need to ask Matt specifically. If the consensus is a disaster for Democrats, you say, well, we got to get House members to stop talking about, all of this stuff, and local officials, Democratic officials. Like, Dan, if you were, let's say you were Ron Brown or some powerful figure, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, whatever, or Nancy Pelosi in her heyday. Like if you were, or Bill Clinton in his heyday, if you were a powerful figure and you wanted to change the party's messaging, what would you do? Like if you said, we gotta change this, like how could you do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you say, the party is divided, and it's hard to get people to agree to a solution when they don't see a problem. I think that actually Ray Marciano, if he's on here, sent me a note earlier today that I thought was actually like a brilliant idea, which is I think one, the party needs to support law and order. Again, you cannot harm personnel or property. Two, I think the party would be wise to do something like say, look, let's call for a 6-month moratorium on these deportations and give Congress an opportunity between now and the end of the year to come up with a comprehensive solution, some sort of way to get into the game, to get on offense, to put solutions on the table, kind of try to hug this issue a little bit and try to make it seem like deporting 20 million is not reasonable. It's not probably good for the economy. It's just kind of not practical. So here is a middle ground. Try to push Trump to the extreme to be seen as kind of out of control. It was the best kind of short-term solution that I've heard, the way the party could try to get back into the game. But again, there are big parts of our party who would say to that, there is no problem. This is all an overreaction. If we fight hard enough, we'll win.
Matt Gorman, the Democrats are always saying that Donald Trump has done something to doom him, and they'll say people don't get how bad this is. It is. Do you think? And there's some polling on this, but it's a moving target. Do you think there might be a backlash against sending Marines in?
That's like the thing about it is like you have all these liberal commentators and folks in the media, this is going to be the thing. This could doom him, whatever. Right. But like, they're not having esoteric discussions about what it means to have Marines in or the Insurrection Act or the, whatever, when there's concrete being thrown at cops or when there's, cars aflame, right? I think people just fail to understand that in a lot of respects, right? And I think Dan makes a good point where, for the last couple months, Democrats have talked about, well, we didn't realize that immigration was a big deal, right? The southern border, people feel it was safe. But this is where the rubber meets the road. We went through in our party on a host of issues after we lost presidential elections, where yes, you realize there's a problem, but it's times like these where, okay, if you're going to actually follow through in what you say, you want to lose 5 pounds, you got to get an exercise bike. You want to follow through and say that immigration's an issue. Times like this is where you actually have to put it into practice. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's a hard part.
Yeah.
Want more great clips like that? I've got an idea. Hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss a clip, and you can always watch our full episodes, join them live, go to twoway.tv.